Ayo. I didn't hear the Ayo return, so yeah, I kind of caught you off guard with that. Don't worry. Nobody gets it first try. Oh, Freddie did. Anyway, Bohemian Rhapsody. This movie, unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to see it in theaters. However, I did see it a while ago when it came out on DVD, and I was surprised by it, to be honest. Like, I've never seen a biopic in my life. So I'm glad that the first one I ever see is about Queen. Now, you may not know this, but I'm actually a Queen fan. It mostly started with GTA 5. If you know why, well then, there you go. So this movie doesn't really follow Queen, it more follows Freddie and his journeys with Queen. Essentially, it starts with them in college or high school, and Brian and Roger are part of this band called Smile. However, their lead singer quit. Freddie decided to step in and he sang for them. Wrong lyric, but he was still pretty good. Now, small note about this movie, there are a lot of factual inaccuracies. That is not accurate. The lead singer of Smile actually introduced Freddie to Brian and Roger. So, yeah. Small change, but I can see why they did it. Time constraints and all that. And then Freddie meets a girl and instantly falls in love. What are guys for, right? Although at this point I do believe Freddie is still called Farouk Balsara. It's an interesting name, I'll give him that. But being of how do you pronounce it? Zoroastrians? I don't know how to pronounce it. But he's from India, more or less. Like, he was born and raised in England, but his family is of Indian descent. That would explain a lot. Anyway, so after a while they decided to create a new band from the band that was called Smile, and they created Queen. Now, I don't remember how exactly it went in the movie, but I know that in real life, Queen went through 4 bassists. They all left because they didn't exactly have the chemistry with the rest of the band. But then, John Deacon came along, and he worked with the team quite well. They went on a lot of tours, most notably in the US. Now, in the States, it is believed that is where Freddie realized his sexual changes. Granted, he didn't know he was gay, he more or less thought he was bisexual. I mean, really, nobody knows what they are, so I can see why he would think that. But they've gone on many tours, sang many songs, obviously. But Freddie always had this tune going in his head, going dun 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 dun. If you know what that is from, it kind of a giveaway. It's in the title of the movie. It's Bohemian Rhapsody. He's had the song of Bohemian Rhapsody in his head for 7 years. It wasn't until 1975 that the band started writing it. Fun fact, My mother was born in 1976. Yeah, so she's a year younger than a song. They wrote it in a farm, which they called a recording studio. But this is where the funny stuff starts happening. It really just kind of like, the song has so much mixed into it that while they're recording it, even the band don't know what they're saying. Like when Roger had to record the Galileo parts, I can't go that high, but when he had to record those parts, he said, "If I go any higher, only dogs will hear me." Yeah, that's how high Freddie wanted his voice to go, was just go really, really high. Eventually, they found the right tune. Galileo! It went really high, and Roger was like, "My nuts feel like they're in their chest right now," or "My nuts feel like they're in my chest right now." Like, that's how high his voice had to go for that. Like, bravo to him. But they pitched the idea to EMI Studios, particularly Ray Foster. Ray Foster is an interesting character. For one, in real life, Ray Foster doesn't exist. Two, he's played by Mike Myers. If you don't know who that is, you don't know your memes. He plays Shrek. Anyway, so they pitched the idea of Bohemian Rhapsody to Ray Foster. He says it's 6 bloody minutes. It goes on forever. And Freddie retorts with one of the best comebacks I've ever heard. "I pity your wife if you think 6 minutes is forever." You just roasted your manager. Anyway. Mike Myers is a guy filled with irony. In this movie, he says, "I'm in Love with Your Car" is a song that kids can turn up in their radios and bang their heads to. Bohemian Rhapsody will never be that song. If you've watched Wayne's World, Mike Myers will tell you the exact opposite. Starts playing the guitar solo in the radio, banging his head to the whole damn song. It's like, well, yeah, nobody will ever bang their heads to that. Definitely not, especially not you, Foster. Freddie states that he will forever be known as the man who lost Queen. If only there ever was such a thing. So then Ray told his buddies there, if they're not careful, by the end of the year, no one will have heard of the name Queen. Brick comes through the window. Christ! Freddie, you can take that out of my royalty, twat. And then to hear Shrek say, wanker. British slang terms being thrown back and forth at each other. It was hilarious. I love that scene. But yeah, that was pretty good. And then eventually, Freddie decided that he should tell Mary, his wife, that he thinks he's bisexual. He told her, but she replied with one of the most heartbreaking answers anybody would ever say if you told them that you were bisexual. She said, "Freddie, you're gay." She knew. She knew he was gay because he was dropping subtle hints, like not saying "I love you" back. That scene was very heartbreaking, and Freddie didn't know he was gay, despite the fact that at that farm, he was kissed by a guy. He didn't fight back. He was just like, oh, well, that just happened. Okay, whatever you say, mate. Anyway, eventually he was pitched the idea of going solo for a couple of albums. He said no, because he didn't want to break up the band. That was his family. Paul Prenter, who was the guy who kissed him, pretended like he had nothing to do with it. It was his idea. So, yeah, Freddie kind of fired the wrong guy. He fired John Reed, their new manager, kicked him right out of the car, because he thought it was John's idea. Nope. Anyway, as time went on, he realized, you know what, I should probably do this. There's $4 million in it for me. I don't know if I would take that offer, but... So eventually he told the band. They weren't happy. And, of course, as harsh as it was, the band broke up because of it. Roger stating, "You just killed Queen." Freddie, "I'll give it a kiss one day, she might wake up." You know somebody's gone when they say something like that. Another inaccuracy, because Queen never broke up, they only took a break from writing music. So, of course, Freddie went on solo tours and whatnot, and realized his gay potential, as much as I don't exactly understand what that is exactly. But then something strange started occurring. He caught a little cough, coughed into a napkin, and saw that there was blood on it. Now, it's not my mistake, but I do believe that if somebody starts coughing blood, they're very sick. Later, he realizes that Paul was using him to create lies and stuff. He was. So, out. Out went Paul. He ain't part of the problem anymore. And then Freddie, he begged Queen to take him back. I love this scene because it's straight up hilarious. When you walk into somebody's office and that person says, "Anybody wants any tea, coffee, blade, weapons, just ask." Very casual. It really is. I get asked that question a lot. And Freddie, he says that he's been conceited, selfish, an asshole. And Roger has to chip in and say, "Strong beginning." Really, yeah, it was. And Freddie saying, "Look, I'm happy to take my shirt off and flagellate in front of you." Roger also says I'd be happy with the flagellation. If you don't know what flagellation is, it's essentially beating. You have to learn English terms in order to understand it. In fact, I think I'll be demonetized just for saying twat. Anyway. So, they discovered that they have a concert called Live Aid. Now, Live Aid in 1985 was one of the biggest concerts ever. It was a charity for the famine in Ethiopia. The thing is, though, each band got 20 minutes. All the bands had been picked, and Queen could be put in there, but they just had to agree to work with Freddie, and then they could be squeezed in for another 20 minutes. We don't exactly see the answer, but we can also see in Freddie's eyes that he's scared. Now, the next scene that comes right after it, he's watching on television that the cure for AIDS seems a long way off. So he decides to go to the doctor, get himself checked out. To his dismay, Freddie discovered that he has AIDS. In 1985, they didn't have a cure for it. If you had AIDS, and you were going to die. So, he was down, like, depression straight up kicked him in the face. As he was walking out of the hospital, a sick and injured teen noticed him and said, "Ayo." Freddie's crowd catcher, if you like to call it that. Freddie was shocked and just discovered, I still mean something. Ayo. Next, they're practicing. Queen. They all seem to be on better terms now. And they're practicing with the song Hammer to Fall. And all of a sudden, Freddie's voice gets scratchy and he says that his voice feels like a vulture's crotch. I don't know how he knows what that feels like, but hey, if that's what it feels like, that's what it feels like. He asks the band if he can say something. And he tells them that he has AIDS. Obviously, they're distraught. They're like, Freddie, we're so sorry. And he's like, don't. If you cry about it, or frown about it, or even worse, if you bore me with your sympathy, well, that's just seconds wasted making music. And it really was. And of course, him being the dying legend that he was more of an inspiration than a punching bag. Stated that they gotta go through with this. And said probably one of the best lines in the whole movie, Freddie fucking Mercury. That's all you need to say, really. He even thinks that they'll punch a hole through the roof of the stadium. Of course, Deaky, being the genius that he is, actually, Wembley doesn't have a roof. He's right, it doesn't. Then we'll punch a hole in the sky. That's even better. And now at this point, Live Aid is right around the corner. Like, it's a couple hours away. So Freddie goes to his new boyfriend's place. Yes, he's got a new boyfriend. And Jim Hutton, his name, never went to a rock concert before. So this was kind of this was something new. Freddie asks, would you like to have tea with me? I don't think Jim was expecting to meet Freddie's family. Mother, father, sister. Ta-da! So Freddie states, good thoughts, good words, good deeds. And his father gave him one of the most emotional father-son hugs I've ever seen. Anyway, so they went to the stadium, and they were getting ready for their performance. I just want to say, Rami Malek, who plays Freddie Mercury, had to watch the Live Aid performance at least 1,000 times to get every movement right. What's even worse, they did the Live Aid performance first day of filming. I'm not doing that, okay? Anyway. So, Obviously, they played some of their more popular songs, starting with Bohemian Rhapsody, and then going on to Radio Gaga, my favorite Queen song. They also played Crazy Little Thing Called Love, which my mother thought was an Elvis song. It's actually, Freddie Mercury wrote the song in 5 to 10 minutes, surprisingly, as a tribute to Elvis. So, they also played Hammer to Fall, We Will Rock You, yeah, they played that one. We Are the Champions, and I think that's it. Because they only had 20 minutes. They couldn't play their whole everything, right? But, yeah, that's where the movie ends off, is Live Aid performance. Now, they had all kinds of people there. They had Phil Collins, REO Speedwagon, The Who, all kinds of bands there, and nobody donated much money to the Live Aid thing. However, when Queen started playing, boom! £1 million, just like that. Actually, in total, it was $1,270,000, which is pretty impressive, really. And then it tells us some stuff about Freddie, how he died of AIDS in 1991, December 24th, 1991. And, you know, he was cremated. And fun fact, Mary Austin, his ex-wife, is the only person who knows where Freddie Mercury's ashes are. She will not tell anybody. So, that's really honorable, actually. But really, this movie was emotional. Like, Rami Malek did a great performance as Freddie Mercury. I've heard things like saying, yes, he did sing in the movie, no, he didn't sing in the movie. I'm not sure what to believe. At points, I honestly think he's actually singing, so. But then again, at points in the movie, I forget that's not actually Freddie, so. But something to note is that Rami Malek won an Oscar for his performance, which was very... It divided people. Some people were like, it's deserved. Other people's were, they were like, no, it's not deserved, because he's not Freddie Mercury. Hey, come on. He did a good enough job, right? I mean, like, he conveyed pain, jealousy, anger, and joy, all with one face. That's acting. But yeah, this movie was amazing. I would give it a solid 9 out of 10. Unfortunately, however, there are some inaccuracies. For one, in the movie, Freddie realized that he had AIDS in 1985, not too long before the Live Aid concert. In real life, he didn't know he had AIDS until 1987, and when he told his bandmates, they somehow already knew. So yeah, this movie does have inaccuracies of itself. Something interesting, this is off topic, but it's an announcement. A couple weeks ago, I was at 135 subscribers. Last I checked, I'm now at 142. So I've gone up by 7 in the past 2 weeks. That is incredible. Now, it makes me beg the question, how far can we go? Well, if we get to 200 subscribers by the end of next spring, I will be giving away a PS5. Yes, a PlayStation 5. obviously I don't have one right now, okay? Sony hasn't released it. At the end of 2020, though, that's when the PS5 will be coming out. Sony recently announced the PlayStation 5 will be out late 2020. So, with that, if we get to 200 subscribers before the end of next spring, I will be giving my 200th subscriber the PS5. Just let me know if you're the 200th. If we don't make it to that, I'm going to have to up the ante. If we can get to 1,000, okay, 1000 subscribers by the end of 2020, then to everybody, I will be giving something away. To my 1,000th subscriber, I will be giving you the PlayStation 5. However, everybody else will be getting something. I can't tell you what, because if I did, it might spoil it, you know? I'll give you a hint. It's probably merch. I haven't set up a merch account yet, but I promise I will set one up soon. Not soon as in, like, this week. I mean soon as in sometime next year. So, hopefully we get to our goal. If we do, I'm doing a giveaway. Who doesn't like those?